Hi, Amy. Welcome to Revitalized Womanhood, the podcast.
Hi, Gina.
I said that to Rosemary too, and she's like, well, I've heard your podcast. I know, but you've never been on it. So welcome inside it, I should say.
Thanks.
Welcome to my Friday episode of To the Core. To the Core, our core categories, right? Amy lives, loves, learns, all the things, core categories, right? What's your favorite core category?
Ooh, I think beliefs right now.
Ooh, that's a good
Beliefs
one.
that
Beliefs?
takes me deep.
I had such a hard time. Well, hang on. Whoop. Back up. Let me introduce you to my listeners. This is my beautiful friend, Amy. Not only my beautiful friend, she is one of my founding members of the Revitalized Sisterhood. She has been here with me since the beginning. She took out some faith on a gal that was just speaking some words on a microphone. She's like, yeah, I can get on board with that.
I don't regret it a bit.
She is not only one of my founding members, she is also a squad leader. And she's just doing amazing things here in the Revitalized Sisterhood. And I could not be more grateful for you and your support throughout this entire journey.
Well, likewise, I am very grateful that this community exists, and it wouldn't exist without you. And I'm so thankful that you just took that leap, because it was also a leap of faith on your part and made that happen for all of us. I was craving it, and here it is.
Yay! Well, so what I was going to say was beliefs, actually, if anybody notices, I don't know if anybody would notice, because it's one of those things where you design it and you sit and you stress over something and nobody else even knows it exists, right? But I did put beliefs, bonds, body, biz. So I put beliefs first because I put that because I believe that is the foundation of what everything in our life revolves around, right? Our beliefs. However, body, Rick has actually convinced me to switch to where I believe that body is now. And that's really interesting for me because I've always felt that way. Like I've always been intentional about working out or moving my body or whatever. You know, it's always been something that I've been drawn to, I guess. Anyway, but for me, it was like for beliefs, you have to have the beliefs to be able to get yourself to the gym, right? Mm-hmm. You have to have the beliefs there before you can even move your body. But he convinced me. He convinced me to change it. So next year it might start with body and beliefs.
Very well. Our bodies are our temple, so we have to take care of them. And if we're not, I find that if I'm not taking care of my body, everything else is just falling apart. You're feeling it in every area. So I feel you.
Absolutely. That's what I think. I think it has a ripple effect. If you're feeling good with your body, if you're taking care of your body, if you're, giving it the attention it needs, you're getting the sleep you need, the hydration you need, the minerals you need, everything. I mean, there's so much that goes into it that we don't even, our hormones, right? We've had speakers, guests on here talking all over Leah. And, we have all these things about our hormones and becoming more aware of those kinds of things now. And they contribute to so much of our other categories, right?
Yeah.
It does. It like filters down into each other category. Well, listeners, I asked Amy to please be on the show with me because I wanted to highlight a couple of my members and kind of illuminate what goes on here in the sisterhood and what that looks like from start or pre-start and current, right? Like what were you looking like in your daily life? And Amy is working on and has worked on, is one of my best examples of someone who draws good boundaries for herself. So I know for a fact that she will not share anything that she does not want to. And that's kind of a given on this podcast. I feel like people feel like they need to share more than they do. And it's like, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'll just zip, next question.
Right.
Like, just share what you want. Don't share what you don't. It's fine. But I would love to hear I don't know how to ask it perfectly. Like, what did it look like in your life before the Revitalized Sisterhood? if that makes sense to you.
It does, because the Revitalized Sisterhood came at a very important time for me, and I am not the only person I've heard say that. Sorry, Kat. Yeah, so before the Revitalized Sisterhood, I would say that I did not have a lot of purpose behind what my day looked like. Like, I had ideas of things that I knew I needed to get done, right? But it wasn't, the purpose and goals were not defined. And that just meant a lot of missed opportunities and a lot of time that I could have been working on things that were important to me that I really didn't even believe I could fit in my day. Like, I just didn't think they could be there, couldn't exist in my day. It's like, well, other people can do that, but I can't do that for whatever reason, you know, which I wasn't looking at the reasons. But so before the sisterhood, I was like, oh, it would be really nice if I like could work out or, you know, do different things with my kids. It would be so nice. Well, I guess if that works out today, then I'll do it. And yeah, so that's a major shift that the sisterhood gave to me, was the tools to really ask myself, why am I not doing those things? What are my excuses for not doing those things? And how do we fit those in? How do we look at that? How do I make purpose in my day? So
make space for those things that you feel like would make a difference in your life, right?
And they do. They make a huge difference.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, huge difference. Rick was on our leader call the other day with my leaders with us. He was in the car, happened to be in the car, and I couldn't get my earbud to work. So poor Rick and poor my leaders, they all had to be together in this call. And he actually was kind of giving us a little coaching while it was happening, but he was saying how I schedule my day. Even if it sounds silly, I schedule my day. I mean, to the point where it's like, wake up, coffee. I mean, and he even has it to the times, like 7:30 to 8, do this, 8 to 9, do this, whatever, you know. And it's funny now, because back when he was working and when he was running the businesses, it was things that you and I as stay-at-home mothers would think that looks important. That does look like something you need to be doing. You need to make sure that you're doing these things. But when you're a stay-at-home mom, you're like, I just know I'm going to clean the bathroom, or I just know I'm going to do the laundry, or I just know, like, we wait for things in our home to scream at us, right? It's like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So it's, instead of having intentionality, it's just do it as it comes. And then you end up finding yourself where have you ever been running, like maybe down a hill, and you feel your legs start going like way too fast for what's happening, and you're like, oh boy, and you know what's coming, right? You start kind of going like this until you just eat it, right? That's how I started feeling running my home. Like, it was running me. Yeah. Like everything was, I've heard it talked about too, as in trying to tread water, right? Yes. To the point where you're not even treading water anymore. You're actually underwater. And that's what I started looking around in the house, that I was like, what is happening? Like, before I knew it, I was having to pick up kids. Before I knew it, I was having to make dinner. Before I knew it, you know, things like that, rather than I'm intentional about my day, and this is what's going to get done in this amount of time. And I think that's what you're saying, is we all have the same 24 hours. Yes. So it's, how are we going to use those 24 hours? Yes. And we don't even need to use those 24. But
yeah.
Right.
Well, and for example, like, you know, as a homeschooling parent, well, actually homeschooling doesn't really have anything to do with it, but in the summer, I would always like dream towards the summer. You know, it's like, oh, in the summer, I'm going to get my house in perfect order so that school year is so easy when it comes, and I'm going to do all these things with my kids. I'm going to do creative projects, and like, just, you know, you just dream about that summer, and you're like getting that glow from within, and then the summer hits and you do like 2 things you intended to do, maybe 5 if you were really like getting it, you know, and the summer passed and I'm like, how did that happen? I don't even know. I had all these plans. And so I'll tell you, this is honestly like, as I've been in the sisterhood now since October, since we opened, and I'm looking at this summer with actual hope, like for the first time. Like, I'm looking at it with like, no, I'm actually going to do it this summer. I'm really going to get these things. I'm going to have these things done, and I'm going to accomplish them because I can see my way forward now. So yeah,
you see that putting them. So how what does that look like for you as far as for me, what you just said in my day, in my schedule, is making sure like, so I would flip to that month and that goes into my calendar first. Those things. And then I know I don't schedule anything else because it's already booked. So what does that look like for you to make sure that that is an intentional choice?
That looks, well, the big process begins for us. We have family meetings on Sunday mornings. We just take time aside, and it's like every member sits around the family table, and we each get an opportunity to bring up our topic, what we want to talk about, or number of topics. And so that's a place where we asked last Sunday, it was like, okay, guys, summer's coming. What's important to you? What do you want to do? What does that look like in your dreams and your ideals? And we wrote it down. And so now we're starting to plan it. We're starting to give dates to those things that we set forth that we all were excited to do. So yeah, I haven't put them all into the calendar yet, but we've begun the date planning now. That's like the next step. So
Yeah, I just got chills. I love that so much. And I will let you all know you have to be intentional about these things, because before you know it, you have the older kids that aren't going to be part of it anymore. They're going to be doing their own things, right? And that's painful. Just like I had, who was it that was, oh, it was Easter. We just had Easter, and Amy McIntosh was up camping with families, and they all have grown kids. I mean, like 15, 16 older, and they didn't have any kids there to do Easter egg hunts with. She's seeing all of us doing all of our, that's what we do. And she's like, oh my heck, it has been so long since we've done that.
Yeah.
And you think like that. And before you know it, they're out of the house. And
it's crazy. Hopefully,
I mean, by before you know it, you've got your grandkids doing it. But still, it goes by in a blink.
Yeah.
It
really does. Yeah. Graduating one this year, and I'm feeling it.
I know you are. I didn't want to mention too much. I'll let you mention. But so I actually wrote down a really, really amazing quote, but I'm going to bring that up after. So before the sisterhood, you felt like you couldn't do another thing. Mm-hmm. Like it was, I can't. My schedule's too busy. I'm too busy for that. We're pulled in too many directions. I've got too many schedules to keep up with. So when you joined the sisterhood, what was that final urge that you were just like, I have to change? Something has to give. You know what I mean? Ryan likes to say, how's that been working for you? Like pre-Iron Council, how's that been working for you? Like with our Revitalized Womanhood Planner, how's that been working for you? Right? So what was it that was that final straw that you were like, this is just ridiculous? Or were you just, it opened and you're like, yay?
Well, it kind of opened and I was like, yay, because I had the benefit, which not everybody does, of having a husband from the Iron Council. So I kind of knew the ropes, what they do there. And I was so jealous, and so desirous for that kind of community for myself. And so he would like kind of, feed me little bits as husbands do, and like give me what they're kind of doing and programs they're going through and tools they were learning. And so I had started implementing some things, based on the growth I was seeing in my husband. I was like, well, if he can do it, I can do it, But when I heard about the sisterhood, it was like, oh, that's the final key for me, though. That's the real push, is having people around you who are all doing the same thing. I can motivate myself in spurts, right? Previously, like it was okay for me to motivate myself in moments, in spurts, in areas, but a long-term change, I had not really managed that very well. So I felt like the sisterhood was going to be that key for me for a long-term adjustment and continuing adjustment. So yeah, and it has been.
So is it the accountability that has you, or
yes,
what is the, if there were 3 words that you would describe your favorite part of the sisterhood, what would they be?
Accountability is definitely a big one. Camaraderie, like feeling those people doing it beside you. It's not just the people like saying, are you doing it? Right. But it's the people who are struggling along and being honest about their struggles as they go through it too. So let's see, accountability, camaraderie, grace. I would say grace is like absolutely key, because in this community, we're just honest with each other. Like we're talking about our struggles, and we're talking about our wins. We're talking about the whole picture. So nobody's over here in pretense land, like pretending they've got it all together. You know, we're all being honest. And so it's that you have space to mess up. You have grace to make a mistake, to not get all your things done, to not get everything right. And people will both be just loving towards you, but also say, well, how can we do it better next time? You know, what's the next step? How do we keep that momentum going? How do we, move forward? So it's incredible. That's something you just really don't get. Like with friend groups, I don't really have that too much. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think I love that you said that with friend groups, because I think when you get into people that aren't, and I mean, nothing wrong with it. It's not good or bad. It's just different. But people that aren't in the same mindset as a community that is constantly working on growth, right? Constantly working on mindset, constantly working on what can I do to be 1% better tomorrow? What can, right? It is a constant mindset for me. Is it for you? I know it is for you, but
it has to be.
But so like how you were saying today that you're just like, oh my gosh, I just feel the grumpies a little bit. And I thought to myself, I know you and I want you to feel the grumpies a little bit, because I know that you will shake it off and you recognize the grump. You know what I mean? You recognize that you're there.
Yeah.
Obviously, because you got out and reached out to us and said, hey, I am feeling this today, just so you know.
Yeah.
and it was like, I know that you're going to be just fine, because you acknowledged it, you sat in it, and it was like, brush yourself off, do better tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Like 1% better. You don't have to move the needle. It doesn't have to be these huge things. I think that all the time to myself. I actually was walking out of my office yesterday after the rally call, and I was unlocking the door from the office and walking out the door and thought, I thought, did I get anything done today? Because yesterday was kind of a whirlwind. And I thought, did I actually get anything done today? And I thought, I got so many things done today. Actually, I really got so many things done today, just because what am I describing as what I got done as important enough to think I got a lot done today, right? Versus what actually got done. And I think that happens in our minds so much, and that takes us back to beliefs, that takes us back to mindset. And what we're working on right now, listeners, is, and you've heard me say this, I think I just recorded this episode, but is finding the things in your life that bring you joy, right? Finding the things that are already there, not finding them. They're not hidden. They're happening. Acknowledging them as things that bring you joy. And so that you can start appreciating them as things that bring you joy, rather than just more things on your to-do list. Mm-hmm. Because if I think about things like yesterday, how I thought like that, if my mindset wasn't right, I would have thought I got nothing done. Mm-hmm. How can I be a professional at this? I seriously got nothing done yesterday. But I thought, by whose definition?
Right.
And I thought, I got a lot of stuff done. And I kind of, good job. Good job for, not even good job for getting the things done, but more good job for recognizing that I got things done.
Totally.
And giving myself a pat on the back for it.
Yeah. Yes.
That was a good mindset to be in.
And that's what I've had to do today with my grumpies. It's like, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then after I do it anyway, it's like, hey, you did good, kid.
Right? Yeah. And see, you're going to do it anyway. And guess how good you're going to feel after you do it? So good, because you got it done. And you get to go cross it off the list. Sometimes I add things to my list that I already did in the day, just so I can cross them off.
100%.
I'm like, I got to make it look like I did way more today. So, I mean, I already did this. I already made a phone call. I already called Kelly. You know?
Oh, yeah. No, I totally do that.
Cross that off. I love Matthew McConaughey says, you want to wear your new shirt? Put that on your to-do list, because guess what? You get to cross it off. I'm like, that's me. Have coffee. Like,
okay.
Check.
That is so hilarious that you just mentioned him, because literally as I was thinking, like I was, a little nervous before this and everything. And I was like, I'll just do my Matthew McConaughey vibes. I'll be fine. Like I was literally totally thinking that.
Oh my heck. If you haven't yet listened to, and I'm saying listen to, not because I haven't read Green Lights, because I have. I've read it. I love the book. Actually, when I opened it, it felt like if my soul animal was a book, it would be Green Lights, because it's such a, if you see it, you'll understand what I mean, because it's such a purposeful chaos. Like he has little Post-it notes drawn in and little notes that he's written to himself in it. And that's what I imagined for our planner, actually. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't figure out how to get it out of my brain onto paper, right? So when I saw it, I was like, oh my heck, this is so cool. But listen to it, because I don't think you can really get the full Green Lights experience if you're not listening to Matthew McConaughey read it to you. And it is,
see why you'd say that. Yeah.
Aces. Okay, so since you said that, I found this. I've been reading in multitudes with other books. I've been reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. Did I say that right? Yeah, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Of course. I mean, it's like, who hasn't read that book? It's like the number one book, right, on everyone's list. I think it's so interesting to me that it works so well with everything we're doing. And what, he wrote it in like 1912 or something like that, or yeah. I don't even know. But this quote is by Charles Schwab, and apparently Andrew Carnegie hired this man in 1921 to be the president of U.S. Steel because he could deal with people. I mean, he paid him so much money, not because he was qualified for the job, but because he could deal with people. And Charles Schwab says this. He says, I consider my ability to arouse enthusiasm among my people the greatest asset that I possess. And the way to develop the best that is in a person is by appreciation and encouragement. There is nothing else that so kills the ambition of a person as criticism. And I thought, do I do that well enough? It's interesting to hear it in a book that's so famous and in a book that was written so long ago and has such an impact on so many people's lives, because that is kind of what I try to do. You know, I mean, when we very first started, we were called Hype Girls, right? We didn't have teams. We didn't have squads. There wasn't enough of it. We were the squad. There was only 13 of us when we were doing this. And it was like, okay, so pair up and you get a Hype Girl, because we cannot, nothing will crumble this faster than being criticized or being made to feel less than, or right? Yeah. We need to build each other up. We need to cheer each other on. Yeah. And I think that's what we've continued to nurture as we've gone on. And for you guys in your squads, I hope that comes through from me to you, that this is our community and this is what it looks like. We bolster, right? Yeah. We cheer each other on. You have at any given time in a day 38, 39 other Hype Girls, right? I feel like, and I'm sure you feel the same way. I don't know, you can tell me. I feel like I could go on there and randomly scroll through and pick a chat and write anything out and would get the exact same immediate response and care and love from every single person in it. 100%.
That's exactly how I feel. I could reach out to anybody in there about anything, and they would give that support. Absolutely.
I love it. That's one of my challenges for the Kiln, for the new members that come in. It is a challenge. I say scroll through and just pick 5 random ones each week and ask the most random question you could possibly think of. I mean, what's your favorite mustard? I don't care. The more random, we should have that once a year. We should hold the most random questions that got asked and read them. Like if we had a company party once a year, we could read these at the company party. How funny would that be?
That would be great.
I'm going to start it.
Oh my goodness.
The most random thing that got asked in the sisterhood today.
I love it. Well,
I'm going to start a chapter.
Well, and I will take what you were saying as well, reading that quote, and you were asking yourself if that's what's being accomplished and if that's what you're doing and what we're doing. And I say to that, absolutely yes. And I will even, using my own story as an example, because when you first talked to me about being a leader, I was like, nope, got the wrong girl. I don't know who you think you're talking to, but that's not me. I did not join this to be a leader. And you just continued to encourage me. Like, that didn't even deter you. You were just like, no, I think you're a leader. I see it. And that, it was that alone, really, that allowed me to ask myself that question. Like, could I be a leader? Is that in there? Is that, I've failed in lots of ways in leadership roles in the past. So is this even something that I think I can do? But it takes each other. Like, that's one of the most valuable pieces of community. We aren't finding our value in other people's encouragement or in other people's words or valuing of us, but there is a necessity to that encouragement and that bolstering of community, of each other. Like, there is a necessity to that. That is just a really, I think, vital part of community.
Isn't that interesting that you said that? That I love that you acknowledge that, wait a minute, if this person is bothering me so much to do something or seeing something, like this person's saying that they see this quality in me, why can I not see it? Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting that it doesn't click? Like, oh, because it's there. It's obvious to another person.
Yeah.
Why is it not obvious to me? It's my magic mirror,
Yeah.
It's like, it's funny, like you can see something in someone else and they just are oblivious to it.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful
from all
thing.
Of our limiting beliefs and everything that we put on ourselves, right?
100%. Yeah.
So how do you feel like you are now? Here we are, we're 7 months in. I can't even believe it.
It's wild. I feel so good because I feel like this is, I think when I first came in, what I was wanting was somebody to kind of kick me in the rear and get me going, and even a place to prove I can be a valuable member, right? Like I can bring value to this. I can prove to myself and to everybody else that I belong here. Those kind of feelings. And now I would say what I most value in this whole experience is that this is it's a place of real growth. Not that growth in your mind where you have to you're fighting every day to just get ahead and you're going to prove it. It's now like, I want to grow in these ways. And you know what? I might mess up. I might actually not be the best leader on the get-go, which I wasn't, but this is a space for me to grow that. This is a space for me to actually ask my sisters, what do you see? Where do we need improvement? What am I doing well? What am I not doing well? And get that actual feedback in a kind, way where I can say, I can receive that and I can grow from that. And I don't have to take that as a negative thing or as a put down or as I'm just, boo-hoo, failure. It's not. It's the actual step, the next step for growth. So that's how I'm feeling now. It's like, that's what I love about being here is I have complete hope for growth because of that.
I love that you said recognizing that you're not going to get defensive over something, because in normal social situations, pre-sisterhood, that would be a normal thing for me to do if someone said something like, even constructive criticism. I think Rick still kind of does it and he's like, gets mad at me. But even in other settings, when someone would give you information that in hopes would help you, I think it's natural for us, unfortunately, to get defensive. Mm-hmm. And that's what we talked about last night, right? Mm-hmm. False self versus true identity. And when you're operating in your true self, your true identity, you can take that in as, thank you. This is somewhere that I can be vulnerable, and you've allowed me to recognize where I need growth, right?
Right. Yeah. Well,
awesome.
And people aren't just offering it off the cuff. So it's not like you're going to come into the sister and everybody's going to be like, well, I have this great constructive criticism for you. I asked for it. And that's the beautiful thing. I asked for it and I received it in a good way, so.
Everybody's thinking they're going to come in here and we're going to be like, okay, let's start from the top and work our way to the bottom of you. Where should we go from here?
No. I asked. I wanted to know.
No, I think my favorite aha moment was the word resilience. That's probably one of my most favorite words now, because even in emotional resilience, in like living life resiliently, right? What that means to me is acknowledging what we talked about earlier is today might be a yucky day, and that's okay, because I am resilient. And what that means to me is it's not that I know I'm always going to be good.
Right.
It's that I know that I'm going to be bad sometimes, but I trust myself to pull myself back out of it.
Yeah.
And the more I do it, so it's not failing, it's just trying again. It's what we talked about last night about if you're on the wrong road, just get on the new road.
Yeah.
There is not that hard. It is so simplified, but we make it so much harder than it is. But it's like, if you are going down a bad path in an argument or in a life choice or career or whatever, recognize it, understand what it is, and go, oh, no, I need to take this other path.
Yes.
I need to jump on this other road.
That was one of my favorite things you said last night, because it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's something we overlook completely. It's like we don't even see the other road. Like, that doesn't really exist. I'd have to go like 15 miles back down this one to get there. And it's not. It's not. U-turn. There we are. Different road.
Yeah. Turn around.
It's that simple.
Turn around.
So
I actually have a really funny story to that. I'm waiting for Rick to actually call me because he's going to come drop the baby off to me and I have to go pick up the kids. But, oh, he's here. Dang. I'll wrap it up on the outro.
Okay.
We'll close it up. Okay, lady, thank you so much for recording with me. I know this is going to land where it needs to, and you're so beautiful, and I love you, and I really appreciate our friendship so much.
Me too. It's been fun. I enjoyed this.